Thank you for joining this Biden-Harris Campaign Wisconsin Democratic National Convention pre-program. And now, please welcome Democratic Party of Wisconsin Chair Ben Wickler.
Hello, Wisconsin. Hello, people of the internet. And welcome to the pre-program for the fourth and final night of the convention that I think has blown away the entire country and the world. A convention that has evolved in the face of a coronavirus pandemic that Donald Trump failed to control, a convention that has brought people together from across the country, anchored here in Wisconsin. A convention that will conclude tonight with an address from the next president of the United States. This week, we have seen the unity of our party, a unity that spans movements, a unity of people who disagree sometimes on some things, but come together around fundamental values, a fundamental idea that every person has limitless dignity and that every person has limitless worth, an idea that emanates from the core of who Joe Biden is. It's the way he's lived his life. That unity is what will defeat Donald Trump this fall. And that unity will be on display tonight and in the pre-program that you are about to experience. Tonight, we're also going to hear about the vision of our nominee, of Vice President Biden, of Senator Kamala Harris, and the vision of all of the Democrats across the country, all the independents, all the Republicans who are joining, all the people from third parties, the people who've never voted before, the vision that all of us share to build back better, something that is so urgent in this moment. A vision that will bring us together and stands in such sharp contrast with the record of total failure from Donald Trump and from this administration. So unity, vision, and the third thing I want to just underscore, especially because this is Wisconsin, is organizing. We across the state and across the country have been using this week to get ready. There are thousands of people who've gone through trainings during every day of this convention to build their skills. People have signed up for shifts. This weekend, we're going to have an unbelievable number of volunteers making phone calls to voters in every part of our state, which you can sign up for during or after this program to be part of that movement. The energy and momentum that's coming out of this convention is going to take us straight through whatever it is the Republicans pull together next week and all the way through November. It's the reason why we're going to win. And it is so incredibly exciting. I am surrounded by maps of our gerrymandered state. We're going to stop Republicans from being able to gerrymander again because of the coattails that the Biden-Harris campaign will bring and the massive organizing from the bottom up that every volunteer for the Democratic Party of Wisconsin, for the Biden for President campaign, for our coordinated operation is going to bring. This is how we're going to move mountains, and it is spectacularly exciting. We have an extraordinary array of speakers tonight, but I want to kick it off with a speaker who's going to be speaking more later this evening. I'm very excited to introduce this message from the next president of the United States, from a beloved vice president of the United States, from Joseph Robinette Biden.
Hey everybody, I wish Kamala and I could join you in person in Milwaukee to celebrate tonight. We're really disappointed we can't be there, but right now that's not possible. COVID cases are rising, people are hurting, and my heart goes out to all of those who've been touched by this pandemic, who have lost loved ones, lost your income, lost peace of mind. I know that for many Americans, especially as the months continue to drag on, these are moments when the losses feel so unbearable. But I also know the character of Wisconsinites, and I know that we're going to get through this. That character is something that President Trump simply doesn't understand. He's turned his back on Wisconsin, refusing to listen to the experts, failing to get PPE to essential workers, and advocating responsibility at the moment we need leadership and empathy the most. This November, Wisconsin can stand up and say, enough is enough is enough. This is our chance, not just to overcome this pandemic, but to dig our way out of this economic crisis and build back better than we were before. We will rebuild our economy to reward work, not just wealth. We'll expand Obamacare to make healthcare a right for all. We'll take on the scourge of systemic racism and build a true equality and dignity into every avenue of American life. There's so much we can accomplish if we do it together. But we can't do it without you, Wisconsin. I've spent a great deal of time in Wisconsin supporting remarkable leaders like Tammy Baldwin, Tony Evers, Gwen Moore. Kama spent part of her childhood living in Madison when her parents taught at the University of Wisconsin. We know your spirit. We know your resolve. And we're counting on you to send Kamala and me to the White House so that we can go to work for you. So you go to joebiden.com or text volunteer to 30330 to get involved in this fight. So thank you, thank you, thank you. God bless you all, and may God protect our troops.
Thank you so much, Vice President Biden. I am very excited to introduce our next speaker. He is the youngest ever county executive of Milwaukee. He was elected this April 7th in an election that demonstrated the power of organizing. He's the first Black county executive in the history of Milwaukee and is the former chair of the Black and Latino Caucus and of the Black Caucus in the Wisconsin State Assembly. He has incandescent energy. He will energize and inspire you, and I'm so thrilled to introduce our next speaker, Milwaukee County Executive David Crowley.
Thank you so much, Ben, and thank you all for joining us tonight for an exciting final pre-program event. We are all well aware how high the stakes are this fall. We see day in and day out the damage that Donald Trump and the Republicans are doing to our democracy and the lives of working people. Republicans in the state legislature have dug in their heels and done everything in their power to undermine public health orders and Governor Evers' efforts to keep families safe. We saw their outrageous attempt to exploit and perceived advantage this spring by forcing our neighbors to choose between exercising their constitutional right to vote and risking their health and safety. But we stood up and we fought back. They're putting partisan politics ahead of public health. It's a disgrace. And they're taking their cues from the man in the Oval Office, Donald Trump. What's made matters even worse is that Donald Trump has failed at leading our country through this crisis. His response to COVID-19 will go down as the single most dangerous and consequential failure of presidential leadership in recent history. It's crystal clear how much is at stake in this election for Wisconsin, because so many families are living these realities every single day. Far too many Wisconsinites and Americans have lost loved ones to COVID-19. Small businesses across Milwaukee and the state have closed their doors for good. Hardworking folks are out of a job with unemployment insurance running out, and our economy is struggling to bounce back. The deck has already been stacked against hardworking Wisconsinites who just want the chance to get ahead, and we all deserve that opportunity. I know for myself, I grew up in the 53206 zip code in a family that often struggled to make ends meet. We were evicted 3 times during my childhood, and I know what it's like to have all your belongings plucked from your house and literally thrown out in the curb. Bouncing back from that is tough. And with leadership in the White House and our state legislature that truly don't give a damn about those who are struggling, it can be next to impossible. If Donald Trump is elected for 4 more years, we can count on one thing for certain: a failure to act when Wisconsinites need leadership most. Instead, now it's time for leaders who will put the American people before their own personal interests. Leaders who have the compassion, empathy, and vision necessary to guide us to better days. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are those leaders, and I'm so excited to do my part to help them win this fall. But to make that happen, it will take all of us. We need to unite and energize voters across the state. This will be no small task, but together, we have achieved momentous victories before. And I know we have exactly what it takes to do it again. So let us recommit ourselves to our efforts, prepare for the road ahead, and go full speed towards victory. Thank you, and God bless.
Thank you so much, County Executive. Thank you so much, County Executive Crowley. I am now thrilled to introduce our next speaker, the Mayor of Milwaukee, co-chair of the Democratic National Convention. I present to all, ladies and gentlemen, former Congressman, Mayor of Milwaukee, Tom Barrett.
Well, thank you very much, Ben, and good evening, everybody. Ben, I want to first compliment you for the great work you and your team have done during the course of this week. I think you guys have been very, very organized. I think you've provided a lot of energy and a lot of positive things for us to do. So hats off to you. Thank you very much, and to your team. So Ben talked about the county executive being the youngest county executive. As you might be able to tell if the light shines on me, I have a sliver or two of white hair, which means I am not the youngest mayor in America right now. In fact, I've been to 6 conventions. This is my 6th convention. And without a doubt, this is the most important election that we have faced in our lifetime. And over the past 3 nights, we have heard inspirational speech after inspirational speech. Tonight, I'm sure we'll be inspired even more by Senator Baldwin and by Vice President Biden as well. So I'm not even going to try to give you an inspirational speech, but I'm looking at this from a different perspective. Having reflected on what President Obama said last night, I think all of us have to enter the final 73 days or whatever it is right now with not only a sober spirit, but with a spirit of resolve, because the stakes for our democracy have literally never been higher. What this man will do to our democracy, to our institutions, because of his thirst for power and his complete passion about himself and his friends only, is downright scary. And so I feel as though when I talk to the delegates to the Democratic National Convention, I'm talking to the choir leaders from around the state of Wisconsin, because none of you would be here if you weren't a true believer in what we're trying to do. But just as preaching to the choir is something that is often done in churches, it's something that I think we need to do a little bit of here tonight. Because as we leave this party, this virtual party, and the post party tonight, and we go back to our normal virtual days, we have a tremendous amount of work to do. Keep in mind that 4 years ago, at roughly this time, Hillary Clinton had a 15-point lead in the state of Wisconsin. 15-point lead, and Donald Trump won the state. In Minnesota this week, the polls are saying that it's even closer there than they had anticipated. We all have this visceral reaction that no one in their right mind would vote for Donald Trump. The fact of the matter is, a lot of people vote for Donald Trump, and a lot of people will vote for Donald Trump, and even more people will vote for Donald Trump unless we, the people, get out there and make the case not only for Vice President Biden, but for the case for voting and how important it is to vote. Because we know a big part of their strategy is to try to dissuade people from voting. The more they can get people to say a plague on both your houses and don't come out to vote, the more likely they are to win. And so I have always harbored this belief that one of our challenges is we create an echo chamber where we talk to each other and we don't get outside that echo chamber. I'm here tonight to ask you to get outside your echo chamber and to talk to people from around your neighborhood, from around your town, around your city, around your county, and make the case in a positive way as to why Vice President Biden will be a better president for our country. And we've got plenty to talk about, whether it's the COVID-19 crisis, whether it's the economic tsunami, whether it's a fight for racial justice. We know that President Trump has failed in each of these areas. And we know that Joe Biden has the track record of working with people, working across the aisle, working in different parts of the country to get things done in a positive way. So my plea, and I mean that sincerely, my plea to every one of you is maybe take the morning off tomorrow or take the afternoon off tomorrow. But we have so much work to do. We know that this president, President Trump, is not going to go down lightly. He is not going to go down lightly. He's going to fight dirty. He's going to do everything he can. And just as the First Lady said the other night, when they go low, we go high. But that doesn't mean that we don't address the issues. That doesn't mean that we don't do everything we can to win this election. So again, we're sorry that you weren't able to be here in Milwaukee. We are pleased that virtually you've had a fabulous convention. And please do everything you can over the next 9 weeks, 10 weeks, 11 weeks, whatever it is, to win this election. Back to you, Ben.
Thank you so much, Mayor Barrett. Thank you for your call to action and for your kind words about the work of everyone on this call, everyone who's been working behind the scenes from the Biden campaign, from the Democratic National Convention, from the Democratic Party of Wisconsin. It's extraordinary, and it's all made possible by the incredible work of volunteers and people chipping in, which, if you are watching this on the live stream, you can do on this very page. Now, Mayor Barrett spent 3 years pouring himself into the work to bring this convention to Milwaukee, and we're so grateful for that effort. Milwaukee ingenuity has demonstrated that it's possible to put on an amazing convention in the midst of a pandemic. And his partner, his co-chair of the convention, is our next speaker. Mayor Barrett opened things up on Tuesday at the convention on prime time. Our next speaker spoke on Monday in 87 seconds that no one will ever forget. Watching those 87 seconds, you can see exactly why she trounced Scott Walker when they both ran for the same state assembly seat so long ago, how she was elected to Congress and as a Wisconsin icon. I'm so proud to introduce our next speaker, Congresswoman from the 4th Congressional District of Wisconsin, Gwendolyn Moore.
Oh, thank you so much, Ben, for that introduction. You know, as we come to the close of the 2020 Democratic Convention, I think it needs to be said that Team Biden and the DNC have done an amazing job making it such a success. You know, and there was no roadmap or how to do this virtual convention. And so they really had to put faith in the vision and hustle to breathe life into the bones. You know, accordingly, I really want to thank Chairman Tom Perez for his leadership and example, CEO Joe Salmonese, and Alex Lasry of the Milwaukee Bucks, the mayor, an amazing partner, and the governor for all they did to bring this convention to Milwaukee. I want to thank the Forest County Potawatomi, Northwestern Mutual, and so many others in the Milwaukee business community for their generous backing of the convention. I hope that they'll see it as a worthy investment. I also have to give all my love to the many, many anonymous DNC and Biden staffers and volunteers who worked like dogs to make this convention a success. And it was a success. You know, the city was excited about this opportunity, and we took lemons and made lemonade. And I was so looking forward to Milwaukee hosting this convention because I wanted the world to actually see and experience all the things that I love about the Milky Way. You know, the vitality and beauty of the city, all the wonderful, quirky, and distinct neighborhoods. I wanted everyone to experience the generosity and kindness of the people of the city. And no offense to our friends in our southern suburb of Chicago, but the majestic lakefront in Milwaukee is the deepest part of Lake Michigan. You know, our gathering place by the water is a special place. And each and every one of you has a standing invitation to come to the city when this pandemic is over. And despite the disappointment that this is not an in-person convention, it was the right call amidst this pandemic. You know, and I think it goes to the seriousness and conscientiousness of Biden and the Democrats that we followed the science and put public health first. And as I've said before, this is not 2016. Biden isn't ignoring Wisconsin, but he's doing right by Wisconsin and really the whole country by doing this virtually. And the great thing is that this online format has opened the convention to more people participation. The Campaign Academy, for example, sponsored by the Wisconsin Dems, has trained over 100,000 volunteers, staffers, and political operatives. The training has been taped to be a resource for local county parties in every crook and cranny in the nation, and it can be used to train many more over the next 75 days. Regular Americans who don't have the resources or time to attend an in-person convention have had more opportunity to participate. And I think that we've been told that we will never be able to go back to the conventional convention floor roll calls of the past, as there has been a clarion call for a repeat of the experience of the beauty and diversity of the 57 states and territories. And so, while we don't get to hug and break bread and eat brats and drink beer together, like I said before, I know that we are all united and together in purpose and resolve to elect Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and Democrats from the White House right on down to the local dog catcher. Remember, folks, an elected official who has agency over who signs your birth certificate all the way to who signs your death certificate will be on the ballot. And the point is, we're going to vote in 2020. Look out. You know, the best part of this convention is that we have a wonderful man in Joe Biden at the top of our ticket. I mean, come on, y'all. He has been in the fight, and he didn't just get in the fight. He's been in it for a long time, and he has the scars to prove it. You know, the feedback that I get from people that I talk to who are really getting to know him and hearing more about him is overwhelmingly positive. And they're seeing the fantastic man that I personally know. They're seeing why the people who know him adore him, and they're starting to adore him too. You know, unfortunately, Trump is a person who will hug the flag and talk about America first and hold the Bible upside down. But the truth is that Trump is totally ignorant to the true majesty and beauty of this country, to what actually makes America great. And Joe really gets it. And it's that combination of empathy and grit that people so love about Joe Biden. He's the father who watches attentively to pick up his kids from the arena, who dusts them off and sent them back out to succeed with some inspiration and good advice. He's an experienced, the closer. He's that quarterback that can take an awful game, but when it really matters, he can pick himself up and will the team to go down the field for the go-to score. And Joe is for us, and he's for you. And Joe does it all for the people in the country who just need a little pick-me-up and help to succeed. And I'm so actually grateful that he decided to run again at this absolutely watershed moment in politics. He could have ridden into the sunset and watched his children and grandchildren grow, but he recognized this moment and knew he had to act. Thank you, Joe. And thank you for choosing my VIP, VP sister, Kamala Harris. What an exciting, competent, accomplished person. We need her legal mind and razor intelligence in this administration right now. And we don't need any proof of how accomplished she is at getting to the bottom of facts and holding the powerful accountable. Do you still remember her questioning Attorney General Barr? He still hasn't answered her questions in the confirmation hearing, same as with Brett Kavanaugh. Any question about where her heart is? When she was a prosecutor, she took on the big banks and won when they were using fraud to profit off human suffering and evictions. She took on the energy industry and scam colleges. And how many other lives did her work transform? I know when she was in Congress, she worked like a dog on our momnibus. She just has a wealth of life experience to bring to the table as a woman and as a woman of color and descendants of immigrant parents. You know, they say that the times find you, and well, the times have also given us Biden and Harris. And I think that we are truly blessed. I don't know about you, but I'm excited to see Biden formally accept the nomination and to put all that he has. And I'm going to put all that I have to elect this dynamic pair to the White House. Let's hit the trail. Let's get this party started, Democrats.
Thank you so much, Congresswoman Moore. And what a joy it is that all of us get to live in Wisconsin at this moment while you are representing us in the House of Representatives. Our next speaker grew up in a union-strong household in Milwaukee. He worked as an interfaith organizer, as a policy entrepreneur. He was elected to the state assembly in 2012, and in 2018, helping power the blue wave, was elected lieutenant governor, only the second African-American elected to statewide office in the history of Wisconsin. He leads on sustainability and equity in the Evers administration, and this week, America watched him powerfully deliver Wisconsin's electoral college votes in the roll call of the state's the second to last state before Delaware, Biden's home state, delivered the final votes in the nomination. I'm so proud to introduce our next speaker, Lieutenant Governor Mandela Barnes.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ben. Thank you for the introduction. Thank you to the mayor, county executive, and congresswoman. I'm so honored to be amongst this group. And obviously, hey, to my partner in crime, Governor Tony Evers, who you're going to hear from a little bit later. But I truly appreciate you, Ben, and your leadership in steering the direction of this party. Because I know that we will be successful this coming November and beyond with the organizing that you put in place, the infrastructure for digital outreach that you put in place even before we knew a pandemic was going to be coming around. So really excited that you're here and to have your forethought when it comes around to that, especially this week, thinking about the stakes that we're up against and the critical role that Wisconsin will play in the process of removing Donald Trump from office, the peaceful process of removing Donald Trump from office. I'm Lieutenant Governor Mandela Barnes, and I think about the exciting days that we've had for the DNC, for the Democratic National Convention. Regardless, it wasn't what we thought it would be, but none of this year is what any of us thought it would be. We're all living life much differently, but we're doing it much more responsibly. Now, we see the contrast with Donald Trump, who's still having in-person events, he's still having rallies, he's still trying to campaign, quite literally putting his life and the lives of so many others on the line for his own reelection. And you wouldn't be doing that if you weren't so desperate. You wouldn't be doing that if you were responsibly leading this nation. But the Joe Biden team understands that, and they're letting science guide the way. They're letting the medical advice guide the way so that people can be healthier, people can be safe, and then we can move forward out of this pandemic and build back better. And I think about the convention and the roll call across the states, and even the convention in general. We had a chance to hear from people all across the country who've been negatively impacted by the president, by Donald Trump's administration, the incompetence of that administration. People like Kirsten Uzika, who spoke powerfully, but so sadly about her father's death, saying that her father's only pre-existing condition was trust in Donald Trump. That was a searing indictment on the entire Donald Trump presidency. So many people have suffered. So many people have lost their lives. Over 170,000 people in the United States of America, and it didn't have to be that way. And I think about the roll call. Like I said, we got to take a virtual tour to all 57 states and territories. We got to witness not just the diversity of our party, but we got to see the diversity of our entire country. And we heard people speak about the urgency of this moment. It was also, of course, a special honor to be able to deliver those state delegate votes for Joe Biden, something I certainly will never forget. And it was extra special to still be able to do that from right here in Milwaukee, the city where I was born and raised, the city that provided me so much opportunity, the city where both of my parents were union members and are still very active in their union. And I said during the roll call, the city is known for some challenges, true enough, but that's due to historical injustice. And we know that we can move forward with the right type of leadership. And I think back to our election 2 years ago, where we made sure to lead with a vision. We didn't just talk about how bad the previous governor was. Everybody knew who the previous governor was, just how everybody knows who Donald Trump is. And that's why it's incumbent upon us to lead with a vision, to talk about the joy and resilience that exists within every community if given the proper opportunity. And while we didn't have thousands of people who were able to come out to see what we have to offer in this city, I'm still proud to call this place home. And I'm still proud that we are serving as an anchor for this convention. And in about 75 days, the people of this state will quite literally determine the outcome of the most critical election of our lifetime. But in order for us to do so, we have to secure every possible vote for Joe Biden. That means we have to organize. That means we have to make sure that people are well aware who Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are and what their plan is for the nation to move us forward. But in order to do so, like President Obama said, we have to sidestep and organize against what those in power are doing, because they're hoping to make it as hard as possible for you to vote. They want to convince you that your vote doesn't matter. And that's how they win. That's how they always get away with everything they've gotten away with. And that's how they stay in power. They know that taking healthcare away isn't popular. So they're working to sabotage the Postal Service. And they're fighting to limit voting rights in courts all across the country. So now more than ever, it's more important to understand how to mobilize voters, how to get people to the polls, making sure they know how to register to vote, And also, we have to engage in the work of educating our communities about the different options people have to vote safely this fall. So just know that you can register and request your ballot online right now. You can go to myvote.wi.gov. And once you fill that out, you can either safely drop off the ballot at a drop box in your community, your municipal clerk's office, or you can still do it at your polling place on election day if you still like to do things the traditional way. And you can, of course, still vote in person before and on election day. But please be sure to wear your mask, other protective equipment, take the proper safety measures to not just keep yourself safe, but keep the people around you safe as well. Our voter protection operation and organizing efforts will quite literally determine the course of this nation. We can't afford to lose that perspective. So as we quickly approach, as I said before, the most consequential election of our lifetime, I am fired up and ready to do my part wherever it's needed to ensure that we elect someone who is ready to bring common sense, humility, empathy, and decency back to the White House on day one, and someone who's prepared to lead, someone who's not going to leave us out to dry in the middle of a pandemic, as is the case with the current president. We need someone who's also going to bring us together, not sow more seeds of division, not impart more hate into governing. We need somebody who's going to lead us not towards just a real recovery, but a just and equitable recovery where everyone has opportunity and where everybody can benefit. And we all know that that's Joe Biden. We know that this is in stark contrast to what we're dealing with now. The president has called the pandemic a hoax. He's politicized every aspect of it, including the simple task of wearing masks. And he continues to spread lies about voting by mail, claiming voter fraud when he himself votes by mail. In this past week, he said he opposes funding for the Postal Service and funding for election security grants in an effort to stymie mail-in voting participation. And this last April in Wisconsin was the prime example of why we need to expand our mail-in voting options and making sure that that process is funded and resourced, because we can't ever afford to have that happen again. People put their lives at risk to cast their ballot, and it made no sense for that to be the case. Not only did they reject our repeated calls in the legislature to postpone the election and send absentee ballots to every voter, they sued us, and they took their case all the way to the Supreme Court just to prove this partisan point. And Republican leadership knew exactly what they were doing. They took every step they could to disenfranchise people, because they know that the higher the turnout, the less likely they are to win. And that's the reality of it. An electorate that is more reflective of the whole of America, the less likely their chances are of winning. And that's why making our options to voters safely and effectively is so important. Empowering people to make their voices heard safely and securely during a pandemic and at the ballot box is going to be key to creating a democracy that serves everyone. Now, although COVID has limited our ability to engage in traditional forms of organizing like knocking on doors, we still are going to be able to hit the ground virtually and digitally. And we're going to have to be creative. We're going to have to be innovative. We're going to have to continue to work to build power however possible in the safest manner. So I want to thank everybody on the call for everything that you're doing to promote voter protection and also promoting the cause of our party, because this is bigger than our party. In fact, this is about saving the soul of our nation. This is about restoring justice, truth, fairness, and equality. This is about creating a nation where everyone has opportunity, a chance to get ahead, and where everybody feels welcome regardless of how you identify, who you love, where you were born, what your socioeconomic status is. We envision an America where none of that matters, where everybody has a chance, because that is truly the American way. So I want to thank you all so much. Ben, thank you for having me, and I hope to see you all soon.
Thank you so much, Lieutenant Governor Barnes. And don't forget to sign up for those volunteer shifts, request your absentee ballot, and chip in to power the work. Thanks so much. We now welcome the musical stylings of Sam Harris of Ex-Ambassadors.
How's it going, everybody? I am Sam from Ex-Ambassadors, and I am so thrilled and excited to be joining you here tonight as we prepare to elect Joe Biden and Kamala Harris to the White House. This is very exciting and very daunting. This is probably the most important election of our lifetimes. So there's a lot you can do to help. There's a lot we have to do collectively before November 3rd. When we are going to elect Mr. Biden and Ms. Harris. And in the meantime, you can text VOTE to 30330 to join in the fight and learn how you can help. And in the meantime, I'm gonna play some music for you. This is a song called Belong. It's funny how life gets complicated. It's funny how life just takes its toll. It's funny how everything leads to something. But now I'm back where I belong. Where I belong. Where I belong. Can I hold you close? I'm where I belong. It's funny how everything burns to ashes. It's funny how people just lose control. And I felt like my life wasn't going nowhere. But now I'm back where I belong. Where I belong. Where I belong. When I hold you close, yeah, I'm where I belong. Lost in a carousel of my emotions. I was living a life that was not my own. But in the deep and darkest nights, you got me home. Where I belong. Where I belong. When I hold you close, yeah, I'm where I belong. Yeah, yeah. When I hold you close, I'm where I belong. Where I belong. Where I belong. When I hold you close, I'm where I belong. Yeah. Thank you so much. Go vote! Go vote! You gotta do it!
Thank you so much, Sam Harris. I am now thrilled to introduce our next speaker. You saw him last night in primetime. You saw him defeat Scott Walker on a platform of fixing the damn roads, supporting our schools, and fighting for healthcare for everyone. He knows that we all do better when our kids do better, and he is a champion for a better Wisconsin in which everyone can thrive. I'm so excited to introduce our next speaker, Governor Tony Evers.
Thanks so much, Ben. Good job, Sam. And tonight, Joe Biden, our Democratic nominee for the President of the United States, will deliver his vision for tomorrow. I am so excited. I have had the blessing to vote for president many, many times, and this is easily the most important election ever. Joe is a good man. He's an honest man who will build back
Together, better. He has chosen an incredible running mate in Kamala Harris, a woman who not only inspires all of us, but will inspire young women of color to lead the America of tomorrow. They're going to accomplish so many things for our country. I'm hopeful of the promise of building back better. America deserves a president who will hear their trials and troubles and lend a hand, a listener, not a president who seeks the comforts of one of the many Gulf resorts when they get tired of the job. Leading our country is a blessing, and to bear that awesome responsibility, Joe will need all of us. It's something that each and every one of us has to commit to. The next 10 weeks are about getting Democrats elected from the top to the bottom of the ballot. I've made a commitment to you all. I'm going to use whatever time I can this fall to fight to protect incumbents and win competitive seats in our state legislature. I want you to also make a commitment to Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and to any of your friends and family that have been affected by this virus, by the scourge of xenophobia, by the countless tragedies of lawlessness of this administration. We have to build a better tomorrow. What's best for our kids is best for our country, folks. And after my primary 2 years ago, Democrats united behind me and Mandela. This week, we heard passionately from Bernie Sanders urging us to do the same thing. Everyone in this country wants their kids to go to good schools. Everyone in this country wants to drive on good roads. Everybody in this country wants quality, affordable, and accessible health care. It starts with sending Joe and Kamala to the White House. They'll restore honesty, kindness, empathy, and compassion to our country. And that absolutely means that everyone, everywhere, doing everything they can. It's an effort for all of us to take on. Commit to volunteer. Commit to contribute to your local Democratic candidates. I'm all in. I'll be supporting Joe and Kamala all the way. Stand up for your community today. In November, we'll have a chance to do the you-rah-rah spirit of Wisconsin and America. Wisconsin will be the tipping point for democracy. Think about that. And this election will be close. That means getting your friends and family and your neighbors to vote. And after you're done that, I hope you'll volunteer with the Democratic Party to reach out to more voters. As I said, I've had plenty of presidential elections that I voted in. And this is without a doubt, the most important one in my lifetime. Thank you for joining me. I'm looking forward to hear from Joe tonight as he presents his vision for the America of tomorrow. We will win in November. We need everybody to step up. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much, Governor Evers. And I would be remiss if I didn't note your leadership has saved Wisconsinites' lives. And folks, if you're seeing your governor wear a mask, that probably means next time you are in an indoor space outside of your home with people that are not in your family bubble, wear your mask too. I'm thrilled now to introduce a champion of Wisconsin while Governor Evers is leading from the Capitol here in Madison. Senator Tammy Baldwin is representing our state in Washington, D.C. She has served in a variety of offices, from county board to state assembly to Congress and now to the United States Senate. She champions Wisconsinites in every zip code and every part of the state. I'm so pleased to introduce our next speaker, a primetime speaker tonight, United States Senator Tammy Baldwin.
Thank you so much, Ben. I am thrilled to be a part of this call. Our before the last night of the convention kicks off. And I'm sitting here in the convention center in Milwaukee, having practiced this afternoon, ready to take the stage later this evening and represent our great state. And make the case for electing Joe Biden and my friend and colleague Kamala Harris. To put it very plainly, the road to the White House goes right through the state of Wisconsin. When they talk about battleground states, it's always Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. And before 2016, we were kind of known as the blue wall. But times have changed. And we have a very special responsibility this election cycle to turn Wisconsin blue, to make sure that Wisconsin elects Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. And that responsibility not only is to help Wisconsin, but frankly, America and the entire world. Not to put too much weight on everyone's shoulders, but we have a job to do. And as we have this convention winding to a close, I'm so looking forward to hearing Vice President Biden accept the presidential nomination tonight and give his remarks and express his vision. But I also think we know what we have to do. I was fortunately not on the ballot in 2016, but Trump obviously narrowly won our state. I was on the ballot 2 years later. And as that campaign unfolded, I was very concerned about what our state was facing and how the electorate had changed. But you know what? It comes down to some pretty basic things. To listen, and we do that as organizers and we do that as volunteers, but also to continue to talk about the kitchen table issues that our neighbors, ourselves, our own families, and Wisconsinites care about. I ran on making healthcare accessible and affordable to all, and protecting people with pre-existing conditions, and bringing down the price of prescription drugs. I also talked a lot about economic justice and fairness, and making this economy work not just for the wealthy, but for the hardworking people of our state and our country. And it worked. And you know what? Joe Biden, in his platform to build back better, is doing exactly what he needs to do to win Wisconsin. But because we are running in a pandemic, we are campaigning in a pandemic, we have to amplify his platform, his agenda every day. And that is on our shoulders. Because again, as I said before, not only do Wisconsinites depend on Joe Biden winning our state, but the whole country does. And frankly, it impacts the entire world. We gather at this convention during a triple set of crises. We gather at this convention in a pandemic that is getting worse, not better, because of Trump's failures. We gather during an ensuing economic crisis that is here because we haven't gotten control of this pandemic. And we meet during a time where both of these crises have lifted a veil on injustice throughout our system. And so I so love the platform of Build Back Better, because it's not about Joe Biden bringing us back to the day before the coronavirus. It's about Joe Biden and Kamala Harris helping us all, we the people, create a better system that is fair and just. And we, as Wisconsinites, have the responsibility to make sure that everyone hears that message. Now, I have an extraordinary honor right now to introduce a friend, a classmate of mine, fellow class of 2012 in the Senate, an extraordinary senator. And I'm so glad she's our special guest tonight, but I was thrilled to listen to her last night because, as we know, Elizabeth Warren is a champion for a just economy, a fair economy, where hardworking people can get ahead. And to be in an early childhood education classroom and to connect the dots in such a plain and simple way that hardworking people can't get ahead unless we have things like childcare, unless we have things like broadband access, unless we have the basic tools and infrastructure that we need for people to be able to thrive. And I have been overjoyed to get to work with Elizabeth Warren just in recent months on the issue of education and bringing the child care centers that have closed back because many of them are suffering greatly. So you saw her last night. Now we get her to ourselves for a few minutes before the convention kicks off. I am most honored and pleased to introduce you to Senator Elizabeth Warren.
Oh, thank you, Tammy. That was such a fabulous introduction. I really do appreciate it. Let me start out by just saying hello to all the Wisconsin Democrats. I really wish we could be together in person. I was counting on being in Milwaukee tonight. Well, not tonight. What was it going to be back in June or July? But I'm so glad to have this chance to be with you, at least virtually. You know, before I begin, I'm thinking about what Tammy just said. I just want to say I never thought I'd get into politics, not in a million years. But when I got in this fight, I quickly found out that nobody makes it on their own. If you're going to make any kind of progress for those who've been left behind or locked out of opportunity, you need allies who know how to fight. But more importantly, you need allies who know how to win. And it has been such an honor to be in this fight alongside my friend, my colleague, my co-conspirator, the person who sits just a couple of seats ahead of me in the Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions Committee, Senator Tammy Baldwin. You know, I just can't tell you what it means to know that Tammy is there and that she always is fighting from the heart for the people of Wisconsin and for people all across this nation who have far too often just been closed out of our political conversation. She's out there fighting for people. She's out there fighting to build a better America. And it's just a real honor to stand shoulder to shoulder with Tammy in the fights we've stood shoulder to shoulder in and the ones that we've got to come. And boy, do we have a fight coming on our hands. You know, across this country right now, people are dying, over 1,000 people a day, from an infectious disease that we should have had under control by now. Our economy is being squeezed to its breaking point. And the fight for racial justice has reached a new moment that demands bold action. This is a moment when democracy as we know it is under siege by Donald Trump and his administration. The problems we face are enormous, but I wake up every day with a heart full of optimism. And here's why. Vice President Biden is meeting this moment. His long commitment is not to himself, it's not to his own advancement, it's not to making his family richer or helping out his cronies. No, Joe Biden has a deep understanding of how to make government work for the people. He believes in competent government that actually helps people. And most of all, he's a basically decent person. You know, Joe Biden has selected Senator Kamala Harris to run alongside him, and I've known Kamala for a very long time. We worked together back during the last financial crisis when she was the California Attorney General, and we have continued to work together ever since in the Senate. She's going to be a great partner for Joe Biden in making our government a force for good in the fight for social, racial, and economic justice. So it's like Tammy said, we need to make sure that Joe and Kamala are elected in November so they can get big things done for the American people. And like Tammy, I am 100% committed to making that happen. But nobody does this on their own. If we're going to defeat Donald Trump, elect Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, flip the Senate, hold the House, pass progressive reform, win up and down the ballot, then we need everyone to make their voices heard at the ballot box. This election is going to be powerfully important. Pick any issue you care about, and it's a line in this election. If your issue is dismantling systemic racism, think about our choice. Donald Trump stirs up as much racial hatred as he can. Joe Biden has been clear that as president, he will strengthen America's commitment to justice and he will reform our criminal justice system. If you worry about how student loan debt crushes opportunity, keep in mind, Donald Trump keeps Betsy DeVos in place, and she is squeezing our students dry. Meanwhile, Joe Biden is in the fight for student loan debt cancellation and tuition-free public college. If you know the importance of appointing judges who are committed to justice, just remember the Republicans stole a Supreme Court seat. And Donald Trump has appointed racist, homophobic, xenophobic, anti-voter judges for lifetime appointments. Joe Biden has promised to appoint U.S. Supreme Court justices and federal justices who look like America, who understand the importance of individual civil rights and civil liberties, and who respect essential precedents like Brown versus the Board of Education and Roe versus Wade. And with Kamala Harris fighting alongside Joe every step of the way, that means working families have a real chance. The contrast between Joe Biden and Donald Trump just couldn't be clearer. In this time of crisis, we have a chance to choose compassion over cruelty, to choose empathy over ego, facts over fear, hope over hate. We have a chance to make Joe Biden the next president of the United States and begin the work of creating a fairer, more equal, and more just America. This is a moment of crisis for our nation, but it is the moment we have been called to, a once-in-a-lifetime shot to change America forever. We can't afford to miss it. So I very much hope that you will go to joebiden.com to register, to make a plan to vote, to make your voice heard. Democracy, as we know it, depends on it. So thank you for all you do. Count the days down. We've got 74 more to go. And we've got to be out there every day and make this happen. So now, for me, I just want to say that I get the chance to introduce someone I've also known and worked with for a long time. I get to do Ben Wickler, who is now your state chair, but I knew him back when he was running Move On. And one of the biggest troublemakers I know, which you know coming from me, is one of the highest compliments I can pay. What I want to say about Ben is something I'm sure all of you already know, but it's a good thing to repeat. Ben is a man who brings incredible energy and incredible intelligence to his fights. But what he most of all brings is a dedicated heart. When Ben is in the fight, I know that we're going to win. So, Ben, take it away.
Thank you so much, Senator Warren. I'm blown away. And I just want to say on behalf of all of us in Wisconsin, you show us how to fight. And we are so grateful for it. We are standing with you. We are standing with you and all of the folks across this country, across the state, who are fighting for something better.
Yeah.
Nobody deserves this mess that we're in right now. Nobody. Even people who voted for it every step of the way, no one deserves this mess. And we can change it by coming together, doing the work, and staying in this for the long haul. Thank you for showing us the way. Thank you for joining us virtually in Wisconsin tonight. And I want to thank all of our amazing speakers tonight and everyone who's part of this movement. Tonight is the final night of the beginning of this battle. This is the last night of our convention. After tonight, we are on into the general election. We have put the gauntlet on the table. We're about to hear Trump's response next week. I can guarantee it's not going to be as strong as the voices of the thousands of people who've been a part of the convention this week. And then we're in the general election. And this will be a fight. You can see in the polls that the American people have rejected Donald Trump, but he's going to try to bamboozle them. He's going to try to lie to them. He's going to try to confuse them, to distract them, to suppress them. He's going to do everything that he can to win. And we need to do everything that we can, consistent with our values, powered by our values, to stop him from winning, to stop him from stealing a loss and turning it into another term, to ensure that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris go to the White House, and then we will have their backs. We will be fighting alongside them as we work to change this country for the better. That is the next step. You can take an action now, before the primetime lineup begins. You can go, whatever page you're watching this on, you can chip in some money. Become a recurring donor. Chip in every week. It's not like there's a week that'll go by when you won't care what's going to happen. You can sign up for volunteer shifts. Sign up for this weekend to call voters in every part of Wisconsin. Get involved. Join your neighborhood team. Join your county party. Join this campaign. Join this movement. And you can commit to recruit everybody you know. We're going to wake up on November 4th knowing we did everything within our power to win. We're going to wake up that morning proud. And we're going to wake up that morning celebrating, because we will have saved democracy in our country. Thanks, everybody. Thanks so much to the staff, to all the extraordinary folks on the Biden for President campaign, the Democratic National Convention, the Democratic Party of Wisconsin, who've been pouring themselves into all of this work for a year now, and especially throughout this week. And with that, I want to give folks 2 more minutes to prepare before we go into our prime time, because we're going to have an amazing night tonight, the final night of the Democratic National Convention. And with that, the official Wisconsin pre-program concludes. Thank you.